Immigration debates are loud, emotional, and usually wrong. One fact flips the whole narrative on its head. Obama deported more undocumented immigrants than Trump. Hear it again. Obama deported more undocumented immigrants than Trump. Hard to believe as it is. This isn't about left or right. This is about the enforcement is counted, controlled, and sold to the public. Let's continue. Hey, folks, I want to take a minute here to remind everybody, please, if you can, give me a thumbs up if I'm good, and subscribe if you think you're interested. I'd greatly appreciate it. And then also, please provide feedback in the comments or on the community boards, so that way we can keep this topics open for discussion or looking for new ones out there. There's so much to talk about. It could go in any direction, but this is one of the things I see as a hot topic for today. Well, we'll open up this segment with News Nation to give us a little input on what's been happening in the past.
The President of the United States deported more illegal aliens than any other president in American history. I'll give you a quick hit. It was not Donald Trump.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported.
Won't you at least consider unilaterally freezing deportations for the parents of deferred action kids?
Here's the problem that I have, Jose. My job in the executive branch is supposed to be to carry out the laws that are passed.
Okay, there. That's a piece of what Obama's said and what they've done, and we definitely will take it on to the next piece here in reference to what's been happening during their enforcement operations. Now, most of the operations of the illegal immigrants were on the border, but they still were getting the ones that are criminals on the interior.
President Obama deported over 3 million people. And unlike today, when he was doing it, the media literally went along for the ride.
We got here and there was a lot of action almost immediately.
We came in, saw the individual, we had eyes on our target. You know, he was able to come out of the business for us. We were to apprehend him without incident. At the same time, we also brought out his brother, who also is believed to be illegal in the United States. We were able to run him on our portable fingerprint scanner. He did have a hit with DHS, so he's been previously encountered.
With us now.
Now, the thing is that News Nation here is trying to paint it that the media was more biased towards President Obama because they didn't, record everything the ICE did, but they did, as you see. So that's a fact, and the numbers don't lie. 3 million. But here's again, you got to look at. Stephen Miller had set a daily target of arresting 3,000. So that's a massive pressure to have, 30,000 illegals arrested in a month. I mean, and the thing is, they don't know. Apparently, from what I'm seeing, that they're taking guess at communities across the United States. Somalis in Minneapolis. I think next will be in Ohio to get the Haitians because they're eating the cats and dogs, as President Trump says. So there's a lot to pick apart here, but you got to look at how things are done, and if the current administration is really taking a chainsaw to this whole process where they could just use a scalpel, and then on top of that, we got to look at the millions of dollars a day that's being spent on the enforcement. I got it, but we need to have a reasonable set of expectations of what the national budget should be towards doing this kind of stuff. Because something like this is not going to get solved within one administration. It's got to be a long term. It can't be done in a year or 2 years. It's a slow, gradual process. that will take. And then at the rate they're doing it now, the national debt's at 38 trillion. And if they spend 2 trillion this year and then do the same for the next follow-on years, we're not. Republicans are supposed to be the architects of being the conservative ones of our pocketbook, but they're not. Congress is dead on its heels and not doing anything, and the president is just spending money like a drunk. And this is great if we had a excess amount of money to spend, but we're throwing trillions towards the national defense, trillions towards the illegal immigration. What are we going to do? This country is not going to make it out of the hole it's being dug. And we do not have too many more years left before it's going to be imploding. And you got to understand that the treasury bills that China, Japan, the EU have on the U.S., they're going to go bad at some point. And our credit rating's already taken a hit once. I mean, we used to have the best, credit rating, and now that's going down. And I think every American should be concerned about where our money's going. We can't just be throwing away trillions of dollars. And if we allow everybody, and this, when we flip it over, the House flips over, and the Senate maybe, we got to also be on top of the Democrats not to be doing the same thing, because we got to fix this because there's not enough money. Well, if there's not enough money, there's just not enough money. We need to know enough is enough. We got to stop the spending at some point. For some of you folks that were back around during the Carter administration, that was some very lean years for the military, very lean. And then during President President Clinton, he had a surplus, but he also at the same point hurt the military. So one side goes too far, the other side goes the other way. I would love to see that we stay in the middle somewhere, but unfortunately, there's just nothing going to stop that. And I wish we could, and I hope somebody out there has a better idea than me, because I don't have it. Now, what we have here in the next segment I'll show you is that the News Nation anchor wants to paint it a bad picture on one side, and we're not going to let that. Try to keep an equal footing here on showing what's happening. This is happening in Minnesota right now because it's just a volatile situation, and all Dan Bongino and Kristi Noem and the rest of just all they do is throwing gasoline on the fire. Instead of trying to do targeted raids, they're just going to neighborhoods and just finding people to throw out.
Thinking that if the same kind of people had been coming out and resisting or fighting with ICE when you were the director, and if people had been doxing the agents, would CNN, you think?
Okay, here's saying that doxing the agents. I got a lot of beef with that. And you listen to all the smart folks, all our law enforcement are uncovered, you have a name. Because you got to be held to account, be accountable. When you cover yourself up and no name or identifying markings on you, people get away with murder. And there's Kristi Noem is saying, "Oh, doxings went up 1,000%." Really? Come on. They don't show any evidence or facts. Nothing. Zero. This is the problem with this entire administration. No one's holding their feet to the fire of the ground truth, and that's where a lot of us, people in the public like yourself, I'm sure probably want to say, "Hey, show me. I'm from Missouri, the show me state. Where's the facts at?" That's what we want. Just get us the facts. So this is just something that's just horrible. That these ICE agents, all they're doing is it's like a melee. A big fight between kids with toys. well, in these protests. Both sides are just out of control with it, and ICE doesn't have to get into a riot situation. They're not trained to do it. Riot control takes a lot of training, and then you'll see in the video here, no self-control. I mean, they're shooting people in the face with chemicals and stuff. I mean, it's just, and they blinded people already. They've hurt people very badly, and it's just going to get worse. Seeing people getting hit with rubber bullets, paintballs, because those paintballs, you can be really bad with that. You can throw them in the freezer, pull them out in your bag, and they're just like a bullet at that point. They can turn very deadly.
Think have covered it the same way?
I don't know, Leland. I'll tell you this. I think the agents, they have it incredibly difficult. I think there are a lot of reasons for that, and I think a lot of missteps for that. There's been an erosion of trust between the public and the department. I have to say, Leland, I do think that the statements that come out after this weekend and following the Ms. Good shooting don't help the matter, right? Where you rush out and give a narrative of events that is quickly disproven. But the bottom line is there's no question the agents today have a much more difficult job. I mean, in the public at times, there's some of these arrests.
Whose fault is that, you think? Is that the public's fault? Is that the media's fault? Is that sort of these groups now that are trying to foment resistance rather than protesting the laws?
I think it's a lot of things. Listen, the Trump administration.
Yeah, he's right, and he can't nail it down. It's a lot of issues at hand. Number one, we do not have an immigration system. It's been broken. If there was any immigration judges, gone. Immigration attorneys, gone. That whole system was gutted out with the Doge process. And you've got the quality of training of these agents are extremely low. The standards have gotten very low. And so it's when you put that with the lack of training, no training with handling people, de-escalation of the process, when you get upset people and you're shooting and making them miserable, you're miserable. I'm going to tell you, being in a mask for 6 to 8 hours would drive you crazy. And when I wore a mask in the military, yeah, it give you a serious headache. And then people blowing whistles at you and other things, yeah, you don't have the level of ability to be cognitive enough to make sharp, sound, disciplined responses. And what we have out of all this is causing it just a situation to be explosive. And we just don't need it in our country to have people, at each other's throats over this whole thing. It could be fixed. I for one wished, pull the agents out of completely Minnesota, back off, okay? Regroup and look at a better way of doing business. Then go back out and do it. Show the American people that you want to be smarter about this. Yeah, Holman want to come up there and say, "Oh, everybody is illegal is going to go." Okay, fine, but get the worst ones out, because I'm telling you, there's probably 30, 50,000 hardcore criminals out there that are illegals. Go get them, hunt them down like dogs. But don't just go out in a neighborhood in a line and just start picking up anybody you see that doesn't fit your description of having the right accent, the right color. Come on, that's not the way our government should be working. Oh, man, this makes your head spin, doesn't it? Now, the thing is, what I previously was talking about, they're worried about ICE agents today being doxxed because they're, having threats at home, which very few of them. Actually, there's only been 136 incidents where they say there's been 1,000%, which is unheard of. They haven't proven anything. In this segment that you'll see here, this is back over 10 plus years ago where Obama was president, and ICE agents did mask up, they all were identified as police ICE. They're all uniform back then. Compared to what they look like today, you can't recognize them today. But this is an interesting segment.
How do you ensure that ICE agents or Border Patrol won't be deporting people like this? I mean, what are the consequences?
Look, the bottom line is that if somebody's working for ICE and there is a policy and they don't follow the policy, there are going to be consequences to it. So I can't speak to a specific problem. What I can talk about is what's true in the government generally. In the U.S. military, when you get an order, you're expected to follow it. It doesn't mean that everybody follows the order. If they don't, they've got a problem. And the same is going to be true with respect to the policies that we're putting forward.
So that you got to understand, looking at what happened back then, ICE agents got to follow rules like everybody else. But today, they're not following rules. They're given blanket immunity to do whatever they want. Every time you see them, they're ganging up on a person, they're punching, beating them, hitting them with bottles of pepper spray and stuff. They're abusive. They're like the Gestapo, and they've earned that reputation now. And unfortunately, as it stands, I'm in agreement with when they say abolish ICE. But on the flip side of that, you got to have something. So put something together that works, that the American people is going to give you buy-in, because the next president is going to have to make that. If this doesn't change, the next president is going to have a hard time selling it to America. And especially at the cost of several $1 trillion or more that this current president does, the next one is just going to be, we don't need him to go the opposite direction. We need to have an immigration reform going on and have some kind of a system without hurting people and just making a wreck of our country doing it. So with that said, there's so much happening out there. But if anything, like I keep saying, I try to keep things in the center. It's kind of hard because some people think, oh, you're going too hard, you're going too light. Come on, people. You got to have an immigration system here in the United States. It's got to find one that works. Unfortunately, today, this one doesn't work. So we got to go forth and find a better system here. But until then, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your community, and God bless the USA. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay kind, and as always, have a wonderful rowdy. Take good care of yourself and each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll see you in the next video.